Hi, Marco. How you doing? It's great to talk to you. I know obviously Grass Valley is a lot of innovation going on this week. We're not in Las Vegas for NAB, but I know that the innovation continues. So I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk about what you have going on and some of the recent news.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Well, it's great to be back. As you know, it's been a bit of a return for me to
Yeah.
Grass Valley, which was great. I think the pandemic has taught us a few things here, and one of them is, our customers are really working to find those vendors that they can really trust and put a lot of confidence in to support them in these trying times. We've been working very closely with them. Actually, I just got word from one of my product managers about us making available over 1,000 licenses of our Edius editor. This is our craft editor, just because customers have been asking, listen, we need some help. We need to work from home. We have people that can't come into the office. And so that's been really good that we can support them during this time.
Yeah, no, it's obviously a tricky time because there's no sports, which is a big problem,
I
at
know,
least live
I know.
sports. But I know that there's also, from talking with a lot of our members, this is going to accelerate a lot of their innovation strategies. A lot of them were looking at sort of cloud-based production for being 2 years down the road, or IP for being a year and a half down the road. And now all of a sudden they're saying, okay, we have to move all these things up and start doing them in the fall and early 2021. So it's going to be an interesting time for everybody in the industry, obviously, when things get back.
Yeah, yeah. For us, there's two big themes that we've been really focused on, and that we'll be announcing here in the spring. I can't say NEB anymore, but yeah, we have our spring announcements, form of products and other innovation, and those two big themes have to do with, unleashing the creativity for content creators as they try to really differentiate their content. There's always that thirst to try to find those things that make them different, especially in this highly fragmented world where there are so many different delivery platforms that are out there. And then the other one is, how do we make our systems such that they don't have the boundaries, if you will, these barriers of having, the talent in one location, or the operators of the control room in one location, and then the equipment in another, right? These physical barriers have become a real challenge, especially when you talk about things like remote production in a live sports setting. But now, once again, with what we're living through these days, clearly these systems have to become a lot more resilient.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the big conversation that we'll be having over the next probably 2 months at SVG at the core is, how do you do a production with 45 people when those 45 people are not allowed to be within 8 to 10 feet of each other? So it's going to be a lot of remote workflows and REMI and at home stuff. It's going to be really interesting.
So if I maybe flip through and talk a little bit about some of that
Sure.
innovation, I can touch on what I feel are the big things. So I spoke earlier about unleashing that creativity of our content creators, and one big announcement that we have been working on for over the last 2.5 years is our new LDX 100 camera. This is an IP native camera. And what I mean by that is, we've actually even removed, in many cases, the need for what used to be called the camera control unit or the base station. So we think customers are really going to like this, especially as they're building these new networks of how they're going to connect, their imaging and capture devices versus their processing and production devices.
So
So
when I'm
that's
going
going to
to,
be a real important introduction.
so there's no need for that when you're at the camera spot in the stadium. You just kind of plug straight into the fiber in and you kind of go. That's it.
That's right. That's right. It's native IP. It has up to 100 gigabit per second connections, so that it can also offer, super slow-mo in UHD 4K. And so again, removing some of these physical limitations is part of that whole story.
Right.
And then the other thing is, it's a ground-up design, so it's a new imager designed specifically for sports, And we really worked on the mechanics also, just to make it easier for the camera operators to carry the camera, to install it, and even to, special things we've done in terms of the illumination of the connectors at the back, just to really, really help everyone that's working with the product when they're under the gun and have to produce content very quickly. If I move to the next product that we're announcing is our Keyframe XP. So the Keyframe XP really is built around the ability to do UHD productions without any compromises. One of the things that, since I've been back and still looking at some of the products that are out there, especially on the competitive landscape, as soon as you do UHD, there's a lot of costs that are involved. And that's why typically UHD productions have been relegated to the very tier 1 top events, Super Bowl, Olympics, but then it would be, not possible to do UHD production for, smaller tier 2 type events or even weekend events. Now with this product, with the Keyframe XP, we've actually done away with any of those limitations. So you have full I/O count, full featured mix effects, keyers, memory stores, clip stores. So if you work in UHD or you work in 3G or you work in HD, it doesn't matter. You have all the processing power that you need without hindering on the workflow. And then just staying with that vein, we're also introducing our new replay system called the LiveTouch 1300. And here we really focused on single stream IP connectivity with full NMOS support. Obviously, it does UHD as well and a multitude of other formats. But one of the big things that we did with this product is we've redone the frame so that now we can have a ruggedized version that fits in really well for our mobile customers. And we know how harsh those environments can be.
That's great. So as far as so I know that for the camera, where do you kind of see that fitting into compared to the rest of the camera lineup from you guys? As far as...
Yeah, so this is obviously a high-end camera. It's our system camera. It allows you to do the super slow motion as well as UHD support. So it's along the lines of that 86 LDX 86 and LDX 86N line of cameras, but now it takes it one step further, especially with the native IP connectivity, which allows us to rethink how we're going to build these networks of the future.
Right.
And a little bit to that point, one of the things that we'll be spending a lot of time with our customers as they think about IP is, well, how do we now build in the resiliency of our IP network to also have some level of redundancy when it comes to our personnel? Most system designs have redundancy in terms of the equipment or redundancy in terms of the connectivity, but we don't think about, well, what if my operations team, the TD or the director, the producer, the graphics operator and the audio operator, what if they're not in the same room? We can't put them together. What if they have to work from their garage or their kitchen because they just can't get to a location? Now with these IP solutions, we can bring remote production to really another level where we've removed those physical limitations.
So where does the GV orbit exist, for example? So within a broadcast facility, is it back at the main plant? Can someone operate this from anywhere?
Yeah, it's HTML based, so you can operate it from any location and even on any type of device. It allows you to fully control, configure, and monitor all of your resources on the network. And it ties in really, really well with the NMOS support that we brought on our products, but also in other partner products. So as soon as you connect one of those devices on the IP network, it'll instantly be seen within GV orbit, and then you can configure it and give it the permissions that it needs so that it can start streaming video, streaming audio, metadata, and other forms of information.
Gotcha. So where do you see the Live Touch 1300 kind of fitting in? Obviously, there are a couple of key players that are already in the marketplace. So what do you see as some of the advantages of the 1300 versus some of the other competing products out there?
Yeah, I think the real big work that we've done is around the IP connectivity. So the single stream IP support all the way in UHD was an important part of it. We also put it in a much smaller form factor, so we can do multiple channels of replay out of one box, so really bringing down that density, which is another important piece. And then our file flow solution and how it deals with the workflow of moving around the assets and being able to give that very quickly to the operators is a key and important piece of this. And I think for us, what we're looking for with the Live Touch is, especially in the smaller type of mobile trucks, events or venues, so large stadiums that require replay solutions directly in the stadium, and finally anything that has to do with station news or sports news, fixed studio environments. The Live Touch 1300 is perfect for that.
Right. So as far as I know, that it came up there was a press conference earlier last week, and it kind of came up a little bit. So maybe it's just for people who weren't on that call, obviously. How is your company kind of grappling with sort of manufacturing, design? Because obviously everyone is kind of working in a new environment right now. Can you give a little update as far as how things are proceeding on that front?
Yeah. So I have to admit, we've been, I'll even use the word lucky, even though my operations people will always tell me that it has nothing to do with luck. We've been working through all the way through in the last few weeks. We are considered an essential service in many cases because we're supporting the communications industry. Right? We're supporting our customers so that they can bring the news to viewers each and every day. So our supply chains were slowed a little bit initially, especially for raw materials that were coming from Asia or China. But that actually has started up in a pretty big way. And the way we've been managing our supply chains, we actually didn't see any real hit into our operations and support of our customers. Now, it goes without saying that this has also been made possible from the remote systems that we have. So for us to be able to directly remote into a customer's system, see if there are any problems and resolve them at a distance, because for many customers all around the world, actually, we're not allowed as a guest or as a visitor to come in unless we have some very special authorization. But in many cases, we've been able to do that remotely with our control and monitoring systems.
Right. So I guess closing comments, anything else you wanted to add as far as just the Grass Valley strategy for the next 6 months to a year?
Yeah, so first off, I wanted to mention, Ken, so again, can't go to NAB, can't meet customers face to face. So what we decided to do is a GV live event. It's a mini television event, if you will. Almost looks like a highlights news event. It'll be less than an hour. People can tune in on Thursday. They need to register by going to our website. We'll have all the latest product innovation news. And then following that, we'll also do some one-on-one demonstrations to customers. We've retrofitted several of our sites around the world so that they can make available experts who are working it remotely, and we'll be able to do that so that we can show real product presentations, again, in a very virtual way, but we'll be able to do that so that we don't miss a step with any of our customers, and our customers are kept up to date of all the innovation and product announcements that we have for the spring of this year.
Great, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Marco, for your time. Looking forward to that next week. That'd be great. Or later this week, because this is going to air on Monday. But thanks so much for your time, and obviously stay healthy, and welcome back to Grass Valley.
Yeah, thank you, Ken, and have a nice day.